Now, in the same general spirit as much of James Baldwin's nonfiction writing, we're taking a break from the fiction side of postmodernism to look at an iconic civil rights text. In my opinion, this piece of nonfiction is the most important piece of nonfiction that was published in the 20th century. And it is a testament to what was one of Martin Luther King's incredible talents that stirred a movement, which was his skill with rhetoric and his power as a speaker. You also in this course read an excerpt from Frederick Douglass's What to the Slave is the 4th of July. And that is a very powerful document. And here we are 100 years later with Martin Luther King's letter, and very much showcases the power of rhetorical might in terms of stirring emotions. So to give you some context for this piece of nonfiction that you're going to read, Martin Luther King was he was a household name in terms of the civil rights movement at this time in 1953. He was also very involved with the SCLC, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and at this period of time, Birmingham, Alabama, was a very fraught city. They had a lot of violence. They had a lot of resistance to integration. And there were newspapers at the time that referred to Birmingham as Bombingham. I mean, it was a very brutal time. Now, the SCLC organized a march, and Martin Luther King was going to come down to Birmingham and help lead this march in support of civil rights and civil liberties. And just prior to this, the city councilman, one of the city leaders, passes an ordinance that says nobody shall organize for a parade without a permit. Now, this was city ordinance was made fully to thwart the SCLC and Martin Luther King. And what happened was about 100 people were arrested for during this march for not having a permit that the city wouldn't grant them because of what they were marching for. Now, before the march happened, a group of clergymen from the South published a letter in a newspaper called A Call for Unity. And you'll read that text as well. And A Call for Unity is urging outsiders not to come in and stir up trouble in Birmingham. Although it doesn't call out Martin Luther King directly, it is 100% referring to Martin Luther King. It was public knowledge that he was going to be coming to Birmingham to lead this march, and the clergy was sort of urging him against that. And the overall tone of A Call for Unity is, we see where you're coming from. We agree that we need to change these things, but maybe don't do it this way. And Martin Luther King, while he is in jail after the Birmingham March, is given a newspaper that has this call for unity in it. Now, Martin Luther King was a man of the cloth. He was a deeply religious man, and to have his fellow clergy inciting or sort of disparaging what he saw as a necessary movement was very affecting for him. He began writing this letter from a Birmingham jail, from his jail cell, in the margins of the newspaper, and snuck it out while he remained in jail to get it published. Now, Letter from a Birmingham Jail became one of the most iconic pieces of civil rights literature in terms of what it's addressing and what it is advocating for. And largely, what it is advocating for is not only for the civil liberties and civil rights movement in general, but it's also calling attention to that tone of, we agree with you, but not with your means, which was a big barrier to Martin Luther King at the time. And out of this document, we get one of Martin Luther King's most iconic quotes, which is, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." And this idea of a moral duty to fight injustice, of a moral prerogative to stand up against injustice and inequality and the denial of liberty. This moral need to do that is something that is very much in the spirit of, in the American spirit, and particularly important to Martin Luther King at the time.